Greetings, MelVee family, and welcome to this podcast on the go. I'm your host, Melusindlalambi. What a privilege it is to bring you another smashing episode of this podcast. You know, on this series, we talk to anyone about anything, anywhere, and therefore we want to ask that you give us time to just delve into issues we have today. Today, I'm talking to a master speaker, master leader, a think tank, an institution. We're talking about someone who says, I can ignite your potential. I can help you to rediscover yourself. So today, help me to welcome none other than Max Moyo, speaker, author, father, brother, whatever I left out.
Nothing.
Nothing.
You've said it all.
Welcome, Ngoma.
Thank you so much.
What a privilege and an honor to have you here today.
I think the privilege is mine because I watch the wonderful and brilliant work that you do. Because without the work that you do, a lot of us will just remain a secret in our homes. It is the broadcasting that's necessary. And through your podcast, we're able to reach people in corners of the world that we will perhaps never travel to.
That's so true.
And so I think don't underestimate the medium and the work that this medium can do. Some people will never know.
Thank you so much.
You
you really put me on the map right there. So to those who have not yet subscribed, please remember to do the honors right now. 3, 2, 1. Click there, subscribe, like, follow. We really want to make sure you don't miss out on this one. I'm so excited about this one, Ngoma. Because this has been what? How many years in the cooking?
It's been a lifetime in the cooking.
You've been traveling a lot. You've been speaking a lot. It's even the last one we set up, we couldn't do it because you were so busy. But it's actually a privilege. Now, many people don't know who Max Moyo is. They might have seen you speak in front. And I know that trademark greeting. I'm Max Moyo.
Yes, of the Moyo clan. Yes, of the Rosary Kingdom.
Yes.
The original custodians of what we now know as the Great Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And
I mean,
a lot of people don't know this, but I mean, Varozi. In Zim we say Varozi. In Botswana we say Barotse.
Barotse, yes.
In Zambia we say the Lozis. One big clan.
Wow.
That used to run the show back in the day.
In Sub-Saharan, Southern Africa.
Yes.
And you're a descendant of that great royalty.
Yes. But more than that, I'm also a descendant of Noah. I'm a descendant of Methuselah. I'm a descendant of Seth and a descendant of Adam and Eve. And I think that's what's more important because if we say Varozi, we limit it to African, we limit it to Southern Africa.
Yeah.
But if we say we are descendants of Adam and Eve,
we've just opened up.
It means that all of us are interrelated, interconnected. And I think that's what's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Max Moyo was once a young boy roaming the plains of Kumusha.
In the village. Yes.
Talk to me about that little Max boy.
So the formative years. So I was born in Gweru.
Gweru.
Yeah. Gweru Central Hospital to be precise. And my dad was a cook at Anderson School.
The Seventh-day Adventist school just outside Gweru.
Yes, 10 miles out of Gweru.
Yeah.
And that explains why I was born in. So once, when I was born, I stayed with him for a while. Probably about maybe 3 years or so.
Okay.
Then I left to go stay with my grandmother because my mom was also a domestic worker at the same school. So,
All right.
Yeah, so we went to Kwachundura.
All right. Oh, so yes, Undula boy.
Yes. And then my grandfather was a lay preacher.
Is that so?
Yes, he was a powerful lay preacher. They're ministers of the gospel in Zim who came from the old man Mazonde.
All right.
Yeah. So that's where the formative years were. So everything about God, about the gospel, about Adventism, I learned in that village with my grandmother. The joy of watching. They used to debate the Bible, my grandmother and my grandfather.
Okay.
Typical in the village. You follow the shade.
Yes.
So they'll start there, and they
As the shed moves east to west.
Shed move there, they would move right around following
From west
that
to
shed.
east.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if they do it now. There was what we used to call effort. Back in the day. And for those who don't know, effort would be where, once you've done the harvest,
yes,
and you're waiting for the next rainy season. During that period in the village, people don't do much.
Yeah.
So evenings were about evangelism.
So you call people in.
You go to the house, that house where maybe they are non-believers.
All right.
And we ask if we can do a 3-week effort at that place.
Oh wow.
So for 3 weeks,
would
every night you'd actually meet there. By the time it's done, the whole family, they're Christians, and that's how literally the gospel moved in villages.
All right.
You moved literally from house to house.
And you are part of this setup.
You're a young boy, you are watching, and this old man could preach.
Without a PA system, I'm sure.
No. And he's one of those old guys who taught themselves how to read and write by memorizing the Bible. And some people don't know this, but that was common in the olden days, where people would memorize the Bible, and in the process, their eyes would open, and actually they'd be able to read. It's as fast as my grandfather was one of those guys who, and you don't go to Bible school, but they could preach you into a fit.
Wow.
And so I used to be fascinated by the old men. So at Sabbath after church, you go into the millies.
Yes.
And you begin to
That's your audience.
Repeat the same sermon. With when you're young, you word for word, man.
You hear it.
You're imagining yourself, preaching one day.
Wow.
Little did I know.
That's a setup.
That I was being prepared. So if you think about it, and this is very important in terms of when we think about our backgrounds.
Yes.
I think that's the question, was how background
shapes you.
Is ideal for your purpose.
That's so deep.
This is going to be a powerful thing for a lot of people. Yeah. Your background is never a disadvantage.
Okay.
Unless if God fell asleep.
Oh no, he doesn't
because
sleep.
If you think about your background, you're thinking, no, I'm so unfortunate, God forgot. Are you telling me that God was asleep and he woke up
and discovered,
hey, there's this guy, he's got no father, no mother, nothing. Oops. Sorry, Chief, you're just gonna have to make do. No.
Yeah.
Everything about our background has been carefully orchestrated by a power that knows it all.
Wow.
He knows how it's going to end.
Wow.
And he knows what kind of pain you need to shape you for what you are supposed to do.
Wow.
And so what I discovered is that your background then is the necessary pressure cooker.
Okay.
To prepare you.
Sounds like a book I read.
For your purpose.
Sounds like a book I read. That.
So when you look at your background, the question you need to ask is, what does my pain help me do?
Channeling it into the purpose of your life.
Yeah. So because if you don't know your purpose, then your pain in life is meaningless. What gives meaning to the pain of your life is the purpose. So the guy who wakes up in the morning and runs 42 kilometers.
Okay.
Preparing for the Comrades Marathon.
All right.
He is going through this pain. What makes sense for him is the Comrades Marathon.
Not this pain.
Yeah. So he can take the pain with joy. Because
manage it and make sure he masters it.
Now here's the problem. You don't always know your purpose when you're going through faith.
I'm actually trying to think right now. That little boy, Max Moyo, in those planes, going all through this.
And you're walking to school in June.
Yes.
With no shoes.
In the most cold region of Zimbabwe.
And you're running there, going to school, and other kids are actually sitting because the feet are now frozen. They're crying. You're running to school because headmaster is waiting with... Unknowingly, you are being prepared for the future.
Yeah.
So what I would like to say to anybody who must be listening here is that you need to go... It was Steve Jobs who says you must connect the dots backwards
All
because
right.
life is only understood
Backwards.
when you look back. Because, if I didn't go through that,
I would not be ready for this.
There we are.
Yeah.
But if you are, so it's important to understand that there is a God who's orchestrating everything for your good.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, I love this.
Even if
Even if it wasn't God, it was your mistakes, or your mother's mistake, or your father's mistake.
Yeah.
The same God says, all things
work together
for your good.
Wow. So you are with grandmother, you are with grandfather.
I'm growing up there. I go to school I started off at an Anglican school out in Kwachundura called St. Patrick's.
Okay.
So I'm St. Patrick's. And then at, I think it was when I was going to grade 4, I then left to go to my father's village now, Kushurugwi.
All right.
Kwanema.
All right. The famous Nema village.
So I then moved from there to go to Hanke Mission.
Okay. All right.
And then I was there until 79.
All right.
Of course, you know what happened? There was war.
The war, yes.
The school closed because of the war.
Yeah, it got
it's
very
fascinating. In the book Eighth Wonder, I tell the story of how I survived the war.
How did you survive?
What used to happen is that once you turn 13,
you are grafted
the soldiers
into.
would come and collect all the youngsters.
Yes.
You go to a camp, concentration camp, and the idea was, and if you understand the concept of war, is that you need to starve the other side of soldiers.
Yes.
So by collecting youngsters at an age where they could be taken for training, they were starving the other guys.
The other side.
At the same time, they could feed their own army. And so this one particular day, the army gets in. So normally what used to happen is that there were sentries.
Yeah.
The sentries will spot the army coming. They'll come and tell people, hey, these people are here. Then we used to sleep with our clothes on.
All right.
You go to sleep fully dressed.
Yeah.
Clothes, shoes, and your blanket. So the moment they say, hey, they're coming, you pick your blanket, you run to the bush. And sometimes you get 3-4 days in the bush, and then you come back. This day, there was no warning. The guys suddenly appeared. So we were all caught there. And you could see the gunfire was going outside because as people ran, they started shooting at them.
Okay.
So we were literally in my mother's kitchen. You know, there's Randavel in the village. So there we are. It's my mother, myself, my young brother Carl, and my youngest brother Caesar. We all. So I'm 12. My brother Carl is 9, and the other one is 6. And so we're huddled up in this kitchen now. We could, they're coming door to door.
Yeah.
And so the lieutenant said to some boy that they had captured in another village, hey, check if there are people in there.
The boy.
To this boy.
Yeah.
The lieutenant said to this boy, I don't know this boy. I don't even know which village he came from.
Wow.
But he had been captured. So he opens the door and he sees us huddled up. He says, no, you know what, guys? I've already been caught. My fate is sealed. You guys have a chance. So I'm going to close the door. Just lock it. I'm going to tell them there's no one in here.
Wow.
And that's
how you survived.
He says, there's no one in there. So he says, okay, let's go. They went. When everything was quiet, we walked out. That day, we walked from my village all the way to Shurugwi town so we can get a vehicle and go and move to Anderson, where your
father was.
And of course, it's 1979. 1980, then I went to school at Anderson. And that also was a transforming moment.
All right.
Because think about coming from the village and going to Anderson School, it's a completely different world. It's multiracial.
Yes.
Most of the kids that go there are
money.
Exactly. So effectively, actually, we were the poorest kids in that school.
But this thing was now rubbing on you that you're...
No, but it's so the world opens up because now you got kids from all walks of life. Some are from overseas,
across the southern African countries.
But there's also, missionary kids and so now you are beginning to be opened up to a complete world.
Yeah.
There's America, there's Germany, there's whatever. You're beginning to get a sense now of so your dreams are no longer limited to Zim now.
All right. The plains of Gweru.
Yeah.
You are now looking beyond.
You're looking beyond now. Whereas typically what would happen, you'd leave your village, go into the city, you work there for the rest of your life, and your life simply is a month and you go back to the village, and you come back for the next 30 years. 40 years, 50 years, and then you go.
You
home to
retire.
die. But going to a mission station suddenly said, Max, there's a whole world out there.
Wow.
Unbeknown to me, I'm being prepared.
So you are now a young teenager.
I'm at Anderson.
At a privileged school.
Yes, at a privileged school.
What are some of the memories that inspired you at that point besides the multiracial? What are the things that you were seeing now as possible in your life?
So everybody has an interesting background, particularly missionaries. I was inspired by missionaries. Why would you leave New York City?
Oh, man. And all its
go
pleasures.
to some village school in the farms there and spend the rest of your life teaching these kids until you die. There's a couple that died. Pastor and Mrs. Lale. So they were at Anderson, and in 1980 they then moved from Anderson and went to Nyazura.
Okay.
And the story is well documented. And when they got there, they were murdered.
I remember that story. Yes.
Their kids were in my class. It was the most heart-wrenching experience.
And you knew this family personally?
That's just, like, he's gone. But he dies. And you know, the sermons around dying for the gospel. And you see, but this, a lot of times we think missionary work is just, you have fun. But people actually give their lives.
It's a sacrifice.
Yeah. And so when you're a youngster, that begins to shape you. That life is more than me, myself, and I. And I knew I wanted to do something great. I wanted to do something. The funny thing is, I didn't want to be a pastor. That's, I knew that what I.
You have not heard the call, so you're not going to answer it.
If my father had his way, one of us out of those 4 boys should have been a pastor.
Like grandfather.
Yeah, he would have wanted that. But
and none of you ever became?
No.
All right.
I understood. So in the back of my mind, I understood the concept of evangelism.
Okay.
I always wanted to be an evangelist. I didn't want to be a pastor.
All right.
I didn't understand that then, but now I understand why. As you know, I'm an evangelist. And an evangelist is not limited to denomination. You're not limited to, you don't have an office.
Yes.
So I speak about God on platforms that pastors cannot get. Because every corporate platform that I speak on, I'm preaching. I just do it in a way that
it doesn't look like you're doing it.
I don't shove the Bible down their throats, but
you're sharing that
gospel,
faith. Yeah.
So those years began to shape me. There are specific teachers that, of course, were special.
All right.
Pastor and Mrs. Cronier, for instance, he was my headmaster then. Mrs. Cronier was my English teacher. Okay. And I tell the story in the book about how I was supposed to do a missions reading in front of the whole school.
What happened?
And in my arrogance, I can read English.
My confidence,
I get this, the book with the story.
Yes.
I didn't even look. I just look at it. Just I'll sit when I get to church. The next day, I'm in front there and I'm reading. And it's going well until I come across a word I had never seen before. Anesthetic. I still remember that word. Once you start putting A and E together, that doesn't make sense. I'm 13 years old, whatever. Or
vowels can't go together.
I'm in front of this whole school, and I'm going and S until I realize somebody's saying, if you come across a word you don't know, just jump it and carry on. So I was, when the whole school is embarrassed on your behalf. It's not that they laughed at me. No, they were embarrassed on my behalf.
How could he?
No, they're just like, oh. So when I got off that stage, I vowed, never again. You'll never see me in front of people. Mrs. Cronier says to me, young man, come here. Yeah, you're doing the missions reading next week.
Again.
I said, no way. Did you see what happened there? I ain't going there. She says, no. The secret is preparation.
Oh.
So go read this. And then you're going to come to my office and you're going to read it to me. And if there's any word you don't know, I will help you.
Wow.
She didn't realize what she had just done.
Oh, wow.
I'm a speaker today because she took the time.
Mrs. Cronier.
She's late now, but if it wasn't for her, I would have told myself I'm not a public speaker. And so I went back the next week and I redeemed myself.
Especially for the girls.
Yes, I redeemed myself. I really did. So that was so
Yeah.
I remember those moments. Then there was obviously what was fascinating about growing up in a Christian school is the week of prayers.
Oh, the spiritual emphasis.
Yes, when visiting, I can remember the late Pastor Chalale. I remember him. Yeah, I remember it as if it was yesterday.
Wow.
Some of these guys, I even remember the sermons they preached.
Up to today.
Yeah, today, they don't know it, but they then become the heroes of your life. And I think for you guys out there who do the preaching and you go, a lot of times you will never know the impact you have on the young minds.
Yes.
But these guys shaped my life.
They actually opened your mind to the possibilities.
There's a week of spiritual. I mean, it's a week of prayer. A lot of us as kids, we're teenagers. We're misbehaving half the time.
Yeah.
And that week is a week where we all
redeem yourself.
Yes, we rededicate our life. And it's interesting. That's a lesson also that I learned.
Yeah.
That in this journey, you need those interventions where you are forced to go deep.
Yes.
On a day-to-day basis for 7 days and, re-look at your life.
Yeah.
And life is interesting because a little change in trajectory can change your life completely.
In fact, I think it was Pastor Papu who said, don't celebrate your years in marriage. Celebrate those moments daily because your life can change just like that.
One person, one book you read, one statement somebody says, one thing that a teacher says,
one phone call.
I have faith in you, or you can do much better.
Yeah.
Just words like that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You're gifted. That changes everything.
So we could say Anderson formed the bedrock.
Yes. Foundation of my life was Anderson. It was Anderson in and out, because I literally, when I started going to school there, I never left for the full high school.
Wow, you actually went right
because
through.
We didn't have money, so what would happen is that during school holidays, we worked on campus
to raise
your
we
fees. Painted the school, slashed the grass, worked in the orchard. So literally, full on.
You are there.
You are there. Then I finished it at Anderson and went to Solusi.
I'm interested in those years because those are now the serious formative years where the Max Moyo we know today.
It's interesting though.
Was unshelled out. Am I right?
Solusi was interesting. So when I joined Solusi in 1984, I was the youngest student on campus. Until another guy came, I think his name was Skinder, an Ethiopian guy. Then he became the youngest.
All right.
I was never serious. Those were the years I fooled around. I played. I literally, in my first degree, I sort of just sailed through. I was gifted. I was smart. But I just sort of. And I remember.
But what is it about that
Dr.
place?
No.
Yeah.
Solusi was same thing, because I didn't have school fees. I stayed for the full 4 years.
All right.
I never left. From the day I joined to the day I left,
you finished
after graduation, because I had to work. I worked in the engineering workshop. I worked in the farm. I worked in the accounts department. So I worked throughout. So I learned how to repair cars. I learned how to do electric repairs. And that's the fascinating thing about a mission school, is that they don't just help you in terms of mental development, but generally in a proper mission school, when you leave, you have other skills besides
vocational skills you can use for your living.
And it makes sense, because as a missionary, you're probably going to be posted in a place where there is no one who knows electricity or your
repairing
car,
cars.
If your car breaks, So I actually, when I left Solusi, I was fully equipped. I could literally pull a car engine apart and put it back together.
Wow.
So those who had money came to Solusi, school fees was paid, and left with their academic.
All right.
Those of us who didn't, which should have been a disadvantage.
Yes.
It was actually an advantage, because I learned how to do gas and electric welding. Wow. So the initial bunk beds that were used at Solusi were made by me.
Really?
Myself, Skumbuzo Ngumalo, the late Begizulu Masugu. It was a group of us. We actually
You just took the materials and
they brought the angle iron.
Yeah.
We made all the bunk beds for that universe.
Wow.
Back in the day. So
Okay.
that sense of achievement.
Yes.
That you can do. You move from heading cattle to doing gas and electrical welding, fixing cars. You know, you learn. So I had skills that I had learned, but I also wanted to be a missionary.
By that time, the thought is coming through?
Like in my head, I'm saying I need to give the church at least some part of my life.
All right.
And what I didn't know was God was working it out.
All right.
I was a guy you would be looking at and saying, oh, this one is going to do amazing things. I was just I was young.
All right.
I was young, so I was fooling around. I was just, going to school. Sometimes the frustration of Dr. Mackenzie was, because I was friend with his son. He just, what's wrong with you? And it was one of those things where he says, he's such a likable fellow,
but he's naughty.
Yes. But I must say, I grew up in environment where there was lots of love. Whether it was at Anderson or at Solusi.
Yeah.
I was surrounded by love. When I say to people that I had to stay on campus for the full 4 years, someone might say, shame. No.
You had no life.
I had plenty love from the Sewadis, the Mackenzies,
right.
the Masugus.
Yes.
All these people became my extended family.
All right.
I mean, I owe a lot. So in the book, you'll see that I'll mention certain families because they were instrumental
in shaping you.
Me. I remember my 21st birthday was done at Pastor Masugu's house.
All right.
Ma'am organized it I would, when we were growing up, birthdays were not celebrated.
You were in the fields heading cattle.
Who cared about your birthday? So, but like little things like that, you'd think you're at home, and no, it was. So, the environment itself was an environment that was full of love, and when I look back, I am who I am today because I was surrounded by that love, and of course, every spiritual emphasis, and I think people must not underestimate the value of that.
Yeah.
These week of prayers, they have a way of continuously reshaping your life,
refining your thought.
And I watched. I mean, one of the things. I mean, obviously, when you grow up in the church and you're a church boy, you know how it is. We're not as serious as those who don't grow up. A lot of times I always say, well, most people thought my dad was a pastor because I behaved like a PK. And all my friends were pastors' kids anyway. We were all notorious in our own ways.
It was rubbing on you, you looked like one.
Yeah, you just looked and you behaved like one. But we were children of workers. I mean, that's
yes.
By the end of my time at Solusi, and I had written to the Zambezi Union, I wrote to the South African Union, just saying, guys, I'm graduating.
Okay.
And I'm offering my services for 2 years.
All right.
I'll do missionary work for 2 years. And, we're just trying chances. I mean, we're applying for work everywhere.
Yeah. And which kind of work are you applying for? You've done...
I did a Bachelor of Business Administration. So I'm looking for...
BBA.
BBA, And I get a letter from the South African Union.
Okay.
And it says, Kangala Mission, they're looking for a business manager.
Eastern
They're
Cape.
They're offering me to come as a missionary.
All
I
right.
could have fallen off my chair.
Wow.
Because I was applying, but I wasn't,
Just casting your...
So it's one of those... So if you looked at the... there are the model students who, people look at it and say, this one is going to go far.
Yeah.
And then the rest of us, we're fooling around. We're
all right.
around,
yeah.
So this thing happens and I end up leaving. So I never worked in Zim.
Okay.
I literally graduated in June. And then I went to work at the division in Harare from June until October. Then on the 29th of October, I flew out of Zim and flew down to the Transkei, picked up by the education director of the Cape Conference. We drove to Kangele.
Oh.
And it was rainy season.
Oh
We
my.
couldn't make it because the mud, it was, all
Yeah.
the stories that I'd read of missionaries.
Finally, they are coming to you
Because
now.
my idea of, whether it was Solusi or it's not an easy life.
Yes.
Solusi had this drama, but
Oh my.
going to Kangale was work.
Wow.
Mad. It's mad. So we can drive there. So we ended up going to Bethel, spent a couple of days in Bethel, and then we went to
Finally, when it cleared up.
get
And
there. And it was that a mission school. Wonderful kids. Some of the most wonderful kids there. But that was a sacrifice.
all right.
Kangale was a sacrifice. There. Old buildings from 1940.
Wow.
There's been no improvement whatsoever. And yet they were producing kids that went on to do amazing things. There are kids who went on to become lawyers, to become chartered accountants. Some of them. So I'm proud to say I've got a couple of guys who are CAs who came out of my accounting class.
Wonderful.
But even then,
Yeah.
and I think it's very important because
yeah.
we paint a picture of an ideal person. I was never ideal. Yeah. After 2 years, I then left
Okay.
and started in the private sector.
All right.
So I started out in Butterworth at a place where they made exhaust pipes.
Really?
Yeah, they were making exhaust pipes for BMW and Mercedes.
All right.
I worked there, and then from there, I then joined PEP Manufacturing, where they made clothes.
Yeah.
Part of factory. For
The PEP group, yeah.
I used to make clothes until 1994. 1994, when everything up. So remember, prior to 94, you could only be in the homeland. You couldn't
All
go into
right.
mainland South Africa. So
Yes.
1994,
The
world
country
opened.
opens up.
I left the Transkei and moved to Cape Town. That's when what I would call the real corporate
Max.
life really started. So
Yes.
Old
Max in
Old
the
Mutual,
corporate
yeah.
sector now.
And I'm trying to figure out now what is it that I want to do. So I joined Old Mutual. I was in marketing for about 2 years or so. Then I joined training. It was interesting because when I joined training, in fact, I was in marketing. I started doing when there's product launches and whatever.
Yes.
I started joining because you could tell that this thing of being in front of people and passing a message.
It's working up something
natural.
in you.
Yes, the natural. I loved it, and the guys begin to love it.
I
So-
think the spirit of Mrs. Cronje is coming.
yeah. So now I'm doing this, and then I end up joining training. So I used to train new advisors, people that
Okay.
on the products and on how to sell insurance. Believe it or not, and I did that. Then I left Old Mutual and I joined BP, and I was head of lubricants marketing there
All
for a
right.
short while. Then I came down to Joburg. I was at Standard Bank, still
Okay.
in marketing. I then left Standard Bank in 1999 and went back to Cape Town to Sanlam.
All right.
Now I was full on in sales now.
Okay.
So I was helping them to build a black sales force. So we kind of built an organization of over 600 odd salespeople. So
Wow.
not bad. 2003, moved to Joburg, then joined Discovery as a deputy general manager there.
Yeah.
Was there for about 10 months. Then I became a sales director for Charter Life. And now we call that You've Arrived.
Yes.
By then,
Uh-huh.
so I'm going through this thing, and you can see this. If I look at my life now,
Yeah.
everything was designed to move me in a particular direction.
Okay.
And it was going like that without much effort from my side. There wasn't nothing that I did. That
It's
wasn't-
like destiny was calling you
it was so
and directing
literally
you. Yeah.
everything was being directed. And sometimes I made a mess of my life, and God was always there. Grace and mercy was always there.
Wow.
Grace and mercy. It is the one thing, if you ask me about life, I always say this. I've been surrounded by grace and mercy. And that's why to this day,
Yeah.
there is no one in life that I would not give grace and mercy to.
Regardless of what they have done.
Doesn't matter. There's nothing they
they
can
have
do to
been
me that
through.
will stop me from giving them grace and mercy, because that's all that God has done.
Wow.
I am where I am because of God's grace and His mercy. So God begins, so if you look at your life, you're going to see the hand, and I can see the hand of God.
Wow.
From birth
Yeah.
to my life in the village, to Anderson,
Yes.
to Solusi, to
To
coming
South
to SA.
Africa.
So I didn't come to SA. I come to SA because it's just part of God's plan. Nothing I did that was clever. You couldn't say, well, Max, you're the top student in your class, therefore it made sense. No.
No.
In fact, all the places I might have gone to,
Yeah.
it had nothing to do with those places. It was just God saying, I'm preparing you
Yeah.
for your purpose.
I mean, you asked Joseph whether he had dreamt of ever going to Egypt. And yet going to Egypt, he understood it later.
Or you later you look back.
Yeah, you meant it for evil back then, but God tended.
In fact, what we need to understand when you think about your life and your purpose and what God is doing is the fact that actually God is in there orchestrating every single move. I mean, look at Jacob.
Yeah.
So Jacob and his mother, they come up with this thing.
They cook a
He
plan.
ends up going all the way to his uncle Laban. You think that was accidental? And he so happens to get to Mahanaim, the place where he meets God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's accidental. No. God was just...
In fact, what I find fascinating is that while Jacob was running away from his brother, God visits him at Bethel.
In fact,
He sees a ladder.
you would not have seen God had he stayed at home. It is up under pressure. When your comforts are removed, you are much more receptive to the voice of God.
Oh, my Lord.
At home, it's rare.
Cushioned by the color of many.
It is rare that at home.
God has almost like...
has to be.
It's like he pulls the rag from under you and you
put it this
stumble.
If you think about your life, all growth in life comes from pain. What is the number one thing that we're always trying to avoid?
Pain. Even the whole field of medicine, it's about minimizing pain.
We are trying to avoid the
very
one
ingredient,
thing
the only
that would
ingredient.
make us useful is pain.
Wow.
So we try and avoid. We pray to avoid pain.
God, take it away.
Take it away. And I've learned something. If you truly want to move to a life of purpose, embrace pain.
Now, Max, you're beginning to now talk about the wealth. I mean, I look at you and I see a moving institution now. Because not only an institution, you are igniting people's purposes now out of all of those experiences. And I like it when you say, I'm not an extraordinary person. I'm just Max Moyo, the boy who was born in the plains of Midlands, but whom God is leading. You've written quite a lot and extensively. I mean, I was looking at your titles here and I was like, who would write about such stuff as becoming yourself? What was going through your mind? I want us to talk a little bit about the knowledge.
So if when I say, so let's start really the so when God now starts saying, okay, Max, you fooled around enough. Let me use a better word.
Yeah.
You've gone around this mountain long enough.
A couple of times.
Enough.
Yes.
So I'm moving up the corporate ladder. I'm thinking my life is about how well I'll move up the corporate ladder. I've become a sales director. Man, I mean, if you become a sales director for an insurance company, you've arrived. Make no mistake. You're making the kind of money that you can. I had a splash Range Rover S500. Nice home. But God was not interested in those things.
That's not
I
you.
was interested.
Yeah. But
God
was like, that's not you.
You know what I'd forgotten? And that's what we forget a lot.
Okay.
Do you remember how many times you've put your hands up and say, Lord, I surrender. I give my life to you.
Yes.
You remember saying that?
Take my will,
take
my life.
my life, yeah?
Yes.
You know that? The problem is that we say that. We say, take my life.
And we
Then we go back and say, hey,
it's mine.
My life. Yeah. So God will let you, and this is what I've learned. God will let you run around and do all those things.
Yes.
But there comes a time where he says, your part of fooling around
take off the...
is over. It's my turn now. And so the first thing he did was to shut the job down.
Oh, my.
So it's 2005. I'm a sales director. We buy another insurance company. We have now 3 insurance companies. One day somebody says, hey, we got 3 insurance companies, 3 MDs, 3 sales directors, 3 this. Why don't we amalgamate everything into one and save costs? It's logical. It makes sense.
But it means someone has to walk away.
So I woke up one morning, 5 million rands in debt.
Oh, my Lord.
And unemployed.
Oh, my Lord.
And that will sober you up. And it had to happen that way. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful for it. And I'm grateful for it. Because these books would never been written.
Is that so?
So now I have to deal with the question, becoming yourself now. I was like most people. I'm chasing this thing.
It's a mirage.
It's a ladder. I'm climbing the ladder because you go to school, get a degree, get a good job, work hard, move up the corporate ladder, and live happily ever after. This is what we're sold. No, that's not life. Even as Christians, we sell the same story to our kids. Because if our lives we were told, no, go to school.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you are praying to discover
who you
your
are.
purpose. What were you born to do?
Oh, Lord.
That the entire... so if I had a way of revamping our institutions, everything about our institution will be formed and shaped in structures to help us to discover our purposes early in life.
Is it that difficult to know who you are?
Yes. It's not...
So
you unless... And if you look at the Bible, there were specific people where God actually specifically said, he's a Nazarene. Don't drink wine, don't do this. He's going to do A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
The rest of us are just born.
We just figure it out as we go.
But also think about it. If life was so structured, it would be boring. So there are certain things that God keeps hidden because life must be discovered.
Oh, I like that.
We must. But also there's a function of the power of choice. I could have told God, I forget.
Not me.
Then I discovered that no. You see, so I don't know, how people look at life. I think there are people that are, the Bible says many are called and few are chosen.
You are chosen, yes.
And my sense is that those of us who are chosen have no choice.
It's either you tore this line.
Our friend,
oh my Lord.
Who's the guy in the fish?
Peter.
No, the guy who ran away from Jonah. You have no choice. There are people where...
Even when you make your choice,
you say,
you're in trouble.
You say you are going to go well. So I understood, so this now, when I get retrenched. And man, train up a child the way he should go. And when he's old, he won't depart from it. The only thing that stopped me from going crazy was because I was brought up in a home where there was prayer.
Oh, thank God.
Those years at my grandparents' place, those years at Anderson, at Solusi, that constant prayer, focus on that. Now I'm by myself. The world has fallen apart. There is no one around you. You are all by yourself. The only thing you do is go on your knees.
When the world brings you to your knees.
The prayer chief.
Yes.
Lord, help me. I know so much about you, but I don't know you.
But that's a powerful prayer.
Just because you realize, that I could preach. I could preach and people can give their lives to Christ. But I was preaching about a God I knew something about but didn't know. And so I said, Lord,
who are you?
I don't want a car. I don't want a job. I don't want a house. I want to know you.
Wow.
Nobody forced me.
Wow.
I prayed that prayer by myself. And while I was still dealing with all this drama, I also get divorced.
Oh, no.
So we call that a double whammy.
Yeah.
Because think about
hits you one side and the backhand.
Yeah, most of our lives are anchored around family and career. And I'd lost both.
Oh, my Lord.
And I have no one to turn to. It is a fascinating thing. When life hits you, in cricket, they said it hits you for a 6.
6, yes.
Right out of the field. When that happens, there's no one around you. God is there. But sometimes God
He's
can be so
silent.
quiet.
Yeah.
Watching.
You're
And
in
you know
an
why?
exam.
And you know why? He knows exactly what he's doing. I talk about that now in retrospect. But God knows exactly. He knows what he's doing. If you were to do something that will terminate your destiny, he would stop you.
Yeah.
He knows what. So when he's quiet, he's saying, you need to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Psalms
And
23,
he's
we all
letting
like
it
that thing, but we
Yeah.
forget that
It's a painful
the
story.
valley of the shadow of death.
It's scary.
Let me put it nicely.
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted to die and yet wanted to live?
At the same time.
Because when life hits you hard, you want to die, but you actually want to live. So what's happening? What you're saying, you just want the pain to go away. But God says, if you're going to be a diamond, you will have to take the pressure. You have to take the heat.
So, Max, your life changes not at a first level degree of change where you have an option to go back and become. But God radically changes you, rocks your life.
Rocks.
Everything you know as normal has become
Cuts everything out.
abnormal.
Now,
You
if
can't go back to be what you were.
And you don't know what the future is.
You are like stuck in reverse.
Yes. You're sitting there wondering. In fact, you're sitting there, and I'm turning 40. That's even worse.
Oh my Lord.
So if you're 20, you don't care. Hey, tomorrow's another day.
Yeah.
You're turning 40. Well,
Oh Lord. And you're wondering, what am I become at 60?
you are sitting there. You can't cry to anybody. You can't. And so there's times where the only option is God. David was asked once, choose. That you'll be, another nation will take over you for a while, or this will happen for a while.
Or you are in God's hands.
And David says, I'd rather be in God's hands. I agree with him 100%. I'd rather be in pain.
Commissioned by
suffering
God.
In God's hands, because at least in God's hands,
There's grace and mercy.
There's not just grace and mercy. It will be for a greater good. Because sometimes we think that pain ends. Sometimes it doesn't. People die in the process of that. Look at all the disciples and how they died.
Yeah.
Yes.
They never really
So we
entered.
mustn't. We're in war. This is a war.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're talking about how God then directs me. So I'm now, had I not been brought up the way I was brought up,
You would have lost it.
I would have done. But it is at that point that the foundation. So for the parents out there, the teachers, the pastors, what I'm saying is that just teach.
Teach them how to pray.
Forget that they're not listening or just teach. When the time is right,
They will remember it.
like me, they will remember it. That much I know. They will. And you're gonna need it, because then at that point you're looking for answers. So I read, I always tell the two things that I did.
Yeah.
One, I read my Bible from Genesis to Revelation that year
Okay.
for the first time.
Wow.
Now, I grew up in the church. I knew the Bible, but I'd never read it. I read literally 7 times in 1 year. Genesis through to Revelation, including Numbers.
All those little
I read
details.
everything.
Son
I
of,
said,
son
Lord, I don't
of,
know what
son
this
of,
means,
son
but-
of, son
but
of.
you said I must read the word. When you are desperate, when your life becomes desperate, Chief,
Yeah.
you will do whatever it takes. I also then learned how to fast.
Okay.
So I remember now doing a dry fast. No food, no water for 5 days.
Oh, my Lord.
Now, for those of you who have never done any fasting, by day 5, when you haven't had water or food, every time you stand up, you feel like your spirit is walking besides your body.
And it's like the whole world is tipping upside down.
And remember, I'm doing this because I'm looking for an instant answer. I want things to stop. So if I pray, if I fast, then life will quickly go back to normal. I'm still trying to go back to
the
Egypt.
old Max.
Egypt.
Yes. All right.
where I was eating meat and
Leeks and
onions
garlic.
yes, yeah, I'm trying to go back.
Please give me another
I'm praying,
one.
Yes, I'm not saying God give me. No.
Give me another job.
Then I realized I look for jobs. I interview very well. I'll go there. People love me. They say, well, within a week you have an offer. And a week goes by and nothing happens. Then you call, they say, no, we decided to take an internal candidate.
Oh, no.
Every job I went to, I promise you,
So
there's
now,
not one single interview I went to where I walked and thought, didn't go well.
you knew you had done
Everything
well.
They actually would tell you, this is what we want. We'll sort it out within a week. We should be done.
So God is shutting these doors for you.
Every door was being shut purposely.
Where is he directing you to now?
He wants what he wants. So finally I realized that, these doors are closing. My prayer now has ended.
Oh, Lord.
I need higher power. Fortunately for me, my grandmother was still alive.
All right.
So I drove to Zim. Went to see my grandmother. She's old now.
Osundula.
Yes. Go home.
Yes.
I get there, say, Gogo, this is my life now. Everything is shut down. I'm trying to talk to this God of yours. He's not talking to me.
He's not coming down.
Akiri, you taught me about this God.
Yeah.
Please pray to your God because I've done, I can't. Ha! My grandmother. I'm going to say it the way she said it.
What did you say?
Uzatshontsha ke lo mntana if akafumana umsebenzi. This boy is going to steal if he doesn't get a job.
Hey, so
That
you're
was the gist
better.
of the prayer. I found out this statement is in the Bible later on.
Yes.
There's a statement in the Bible that talks about it.
Give me, David prays that prayer. Give me enough so that your name is not.
Now watch the power of a grandmother's prayer. I come back and a week later, I get a job with Alan Gray.
Oh, wow.
But I am no longer the person I was.
Yes, something has shifted.
I want to be in the corporate. I need the money.
For maintenance.
I need to recover.
Yes, for maintenance.
But I'm not looking to go there so I can move up the ladder.
All right.
I don't know where I need to go, but I know that I don't belong to the corporate.
This one is now switched off.
Yeah, I knew that. I went there, but I knew. Now I'm saying, Lord, what is my purpose? What did you create me to do? Lord, what the heck was I born to do? So
this is where your two titles come from. Yes. Becoming yourself and who moved my ladder.
Yeah, so who moved my ladder is that I'm moving up there. Then, the ladder moved. Yeah, so if you think about who moved my ladder, the concept there was.
Yeah.
So there it is. I'm moving up the corporate ladder. I don't have to look for jobs. Jobs look for me. I'm just moving like this.
Yeah.
And suddenly this thing dies.
There's nothing coming through.
And I have this wonderful wife and then this thing dies.
Wow.
Who moved my ladder? So I went from who moved my ladder to whose ladder was it anyway?
Was it ever my ladder in the first place?
All these things that we're obsessed with.
Did I even put it there myself?
I just took about we're obsessed about going to school.
And passing our school.
And going to work and moving up the corporate ladder and buying houses and getting married. We're obsessed about getting married. We're obsessed about getting children. All this. Who said that should happen to you?
Oh, wow.
Whose ladder is it?
Who said you should be married?
Yeah. Who said you should have kids? So you're struggling, you're married, you want to have kids and you're not having kids. Now you're frustrated, you want to kill yourself. Because who said you should? Whose ladder are you trying to climb? Then I went to the third part.
Yeah.
Where is my ladder?
Cheese. No, where is my cheese? But you talk about the cheese somewhere.
No, this is this. So the ladder is about that. So where is my ladder? So now I want.
Right.
So when you ask the question, where's my ladder? You're asking now, where is my purpose? What is my purpose?
The real thing that will get me there.
Because if it's my ladder, nobody can move it.
All right, it's mine.
If you're where God wants you to be, then even the devil can't move you.
You are company unlimited.
Even the devil can't move, and I prove it to you. Samson.
Wow.
His job was to destroy those
the Philistines, yeah. And it doesn't matter what he did.
They took his eyes out, they made him a machine.
But
at the end of it,
he killed many more.
Died with them.
Many more than he had ever killed before.
But also, all things work together for good. So then, once I joined Alan Gray, I knew, and it's fascinating. So God puts me there.
Yeah.
That's where the speaking career really starts.
All right.
Because now, I'm running these investment talks. I'm talking about money. So I'm going around the country.
Yeah.
I was burning 100K a month from just flights and accommodation.
Wow.
I was seeing 1,000 people every month, speaking to 1,000 people a month. I had just become an evangelist for Alan Gray. They would pay me just to talk.
You were actually an evangelist, you're right.
In fact, my boss told me once and said to me, Max, we are going to pay you to be an evangelist for Alan Gray.
Wow.
And so for the next 5 years,
that's what you're going to be doing.
God was giving me rest.
But he was training you.
He was, but I was, at least rest for that moment.
Yes.
But life was, I didn't know where life was going.
Oh,
when the time was right, I knew now I'm supposed to speak.
All right.
But where to start? So I start now I'm more vocal on social media. People are calling me. I think most of the calls to Alan Gray for a speaker would be asking for me. They'll offer someone else and they say, no, we want Max.
Okay.
Until one day they said, what are you saying to these people?
So that they want
because
you.
For 5 years, they let me do whatever I want. They didn't care what I was doing.
All right.
Like,
just go and speak.
Just speak.
Yeah.
We're happy, Max, for you to speak. So God made Alan Gray pay me to develop my speaking ability.
Oh, wow. 5 years.
5 years.
A degree.
At school. Yes.
Honors with experience.
And when the time was right,
trained.
Alan Gray says, Max, we see you have a gift. And if you work for us, we're standing in the way of your gift.
Oh, wow.
Set up your own company. We will be your first client.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's how I left Alan Gray.
All right.
2011. You would think that then, things
again,
are going to be easy.
You've arrived. It's easy.
Man, as soon as I left, I think it was 6 months after I left, the work from Alan Gray dried out.
Oh, no. The brook is dried.
Oh, man, dried out. It was so bad. I was so broke. My dad died in 2012. I didn't have money to go home to bury my dad. That's how bad my situation was. But God came through. Some people did what they did, and I went there. Now I'm not understanding this. Because I'm thinking, but Lord, I've paid the price now. Surely we should be now just, cruising into pep. No. No.
God is not done.
Character building is not. You are not even there. You're still.
You're still discovering.
Still full of yourself. We need to. And for the next, listen, man.
Yeah.
I've been at this thing for 11 years.
Wow.
And this is the first year.
Wow.
Where I've made as much money as I used to earn when I was at Alan Gray.
Wow. And so you write another book.
11 years of training.
In the trenches.
In the trenches.
You write a book. I'm the eighth one.
So now, that's where it started. So I think, and I'm talking to people, and I'm talking about money, but I'm talking about how do you make money, really?
Okay.
You make money by being exclusive in terms of how you show up. We pay you for your uniqueness.
Okay.
So the message is coming very straight. I didn't read it somewhere. God is beginning to talk to me about this.
Yeah, he's showing you exactly what's happening.
So I start talking. In fact, before writing the book, I'm talking about this. So the practice I'm doing at Alan Gray is giving me
the
my
ideas.
Book. Yes.
All right.
So The Eighth One of the World and Become Yourself were written at the same time.
Okay.
So one is to recognize that there's never been a human being like you before you. There's no one like you as we speak. There will never, ever in the history of humanity be another human being like you.
Wow.
So if that's the case, Melusi, you could ask yourself, why were you not born in the 1800s?
Okay.
Why are you alive now?
Okay.
Because there are no accidents, there are no coincidences in life. You are exactly where you need to be. And the gifts and talents that were given to you are only useful in this generation.
Right now.
So Amaxhosa have a very nice saying. Wazalwa, waja, wafa. You were born, you ate and died. In the absence of purpose, even if you make it to become chief executive of a company, if you do that out of purpose, when we bury you, it will be wazalwa, waja, wafa. You were born, you made money, drank some beer,
made some
bought
friends,
some cars and houses, and died. And in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, nobody's ever remember that you lived.
Oh, Lord.
Because you made no difference. The people we make reference to are people that you are going to... I've immortalized my grandparents, my parents, My various teachers and lecturers that have impacted my life, the leaders in corporate that have met, they didn't know, unbeknown to them, they were pushing me towards purpose. So I write about them. So 3,000 years from now, somebody will pick the book Eighth Wonder of the World. They will know I lived.
Oh, Lord.
But they will also know Pastor
others.
So-and-so lived.
Yes.
They know that Mrs. Cronier lived. They will know. They'll know there was a grandmother. There was a mother. Although my mother had only grade 1, I am here in the world today because she fulfilled her purpose, which was to give birth to me and make sure I am brought up in a Christian home.
Yeah.
And so every person I touch today, my mother touches that person.
Oh, wow.
She has never left the Midlands.
Oh, wow.
Born there.
Lived
all
there.
life there.
Died there.
First time she left was when she came to visit us in SA.
Oh, wow.
So, but she lived a life of purpose. I want us to understand this because sometimes we think we need to do something grand. No.
And or become someone else.
Sometimes all you need to do is to be Samuel's mother. All you need to do is to be Melusi's mother. All you need to do is to be Melusi's teacher. Who says to Melusi, you've got a gift.
Yes.
All you need to be is Melusi's friend who says, why don't you do that? So,
and sets you on a path
that's it.
to discover.
I am because
you are.
So we move from eighth wonder, so it speaks to your uniqueness. So the first thing you need to recognize is I'm the eighth wonder of the world every time you look in the mirror. And if I'm the eighth wonder of the world, if I'm unique, there must be a reason why I'm unique. So the question of purpose. So the book then takes you through the steps of how do you discover purpose. You know, I try and give practical examples of. In fact, I talk about almost every one of the heroes that we know, the Obamas, the Mandelas, the people that were like in our time, Michael Jackson was.
Yes.
But each one of those people were born for that particular purpose. Right. So you look at Michael Jackson, he was a pop singer, so some of you Christians might have a problem with it. But if you understand what God was doing, restoring the black person to his rightful place in society. So we see these musics, you know, guys, from jazz to blues to the Michael Jacksons, the Whitney Houston, all these black guys that become legendary. It's just God saying, remember the world had said we were second-class citizens and we were useless.
And we can't do anything.
We can't do anything. And God was beginning. So you see that in music. You see it in sport. You see it in politics. So you got the Mandelas, the Martin Luther Kings. All these guys are bringing. So now by the time you get to Tiger Woods and Barack Obama and now
the Williams sisters and tennis.
Now when you start talking, if you said that black people were a second-class citizen, someone will say, Chief,
what are you
are smoking
about?
Something. And every time we do, so that's also important. I write books. So that our kids can read books that are written by black people and know that we have what it takes to impact the world.
Absolutely.
So God begins to correct the lie that was taught for generations about black people being useless. And some of us are part of that machinery where God is using us to correct that lie, because the work I do touches everybody across the color divide. And, you know, I mean, when I go to America, I'm not going to speak to black people.
It's whites. It's whites.
Go to Canada, I'm not speaking to black people. So you begin to understand that I'm a village boy from Rhodesia. And God says, I'm going to
take you to the ends of the world.
Same people who say you are nobody.
The boy from the plains of Canaan now stands in the palaces of Egypt.
That's it. So we need to understand that. So our suffering then is designed to move us into purpose. Our suffering is designed to bring out
the resilient in us.
Our suffering is designed to kill the arrogance in us.
Oh yeah,
my friend.
Oh yeah,
it's gone.
It takes a lot.
It's not there, my friend. No, it's okay.
God would have been.
If you are suffering there, I won't judge you. I promise you. I won't say that one is lazy. Man.
I always say God's people would have been in trouble if God allowed this arrogant man to succeed.
That's it.
So God breaks it so that he can save that man, but also save his people.
So when I sit here, I look at the books. People say, "Oh wow," I say, "We bless God."
Amen.
Because I know every speaking engagement,
Yeah.
we bless God.
Amen.
No, I promise you, marketing plans. I've done all these things. Social media, nothing happened.
I want to talk about the latest addition to the series.
Ultimate in life. That's the
call to leadership. And then coming from Africa, position this for us. We come from a continent where our leaders have failed us as people. Or maybe we expected too much from them. What is it about us in Africa that we fail to lead? Is it an office that I must hold and have so many people bowing to me? What is it? What is this call that you talk about?
That's why this book is
and
so
I like
important.
the illustration there where there's a guy who's distinguished himself from the rest.
You step away from the rest. So,
I've not read this one. I'm looking forward to read this one.
We need to understand leadership.
Yeah.
And we are born to lead. Let's just start there. We are born to do what?
Born to lead.
To lead. And if you don't believe me, let's go back to when the children of Israel asked for a king. What does God say? No.
Let them have him.
He did not create men to be led by fellow men.
That's true.
We are all leaders. We lead, but we wanted to be like others.
All right.
In the process of that, we have now abdicated our responsibility to lead,
to dominate
to other people. So what are we doing? We are saying Africa is a problem because what our political leaders are
messing us up and they are selling us out.
What are you doing while this guy is messing up your country?
You've given them the right to mess up.
You've given up the right to lead.
Okay. All right.
So we're equally guilty for what is happening in our countries. Because if we would rise up as leaders and lead accordingly,
in all the various areas,
will have no choice. So democracy, if you think about it, democracy works in a nation of leaders.
Okay.
Not in a nation of followers. So let's talk about leadership because that's important. The concept of leadership. So leadership then begins.
I know we don't have a lot of time.
So
I can almost see you. You are simmering out.
So let's start.
Yeah.
Abraham. God says to Abraham, leave your place of birth.
And go.
Leave your family. Leave your culture.
Leave your people.
Leave your people. And go to a place I'll show you. That to me is the greatest call to leadership.
Wow.
Leadership always begins with a declaration of independence.
Oh my goodness. Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Until you declare independence, you're not ready to lead. Let's go with this. Why should he leave his place of birth? Because we are shaped by the country in which we are born.
That's very true.
Which tells us you are Melusi, you are this tribe, you come from this family, you are this level, this is what we do, this is what we don't do. That shapes you. So it then doesn't allow you to express your leadership. You have to be confined to the way we do things. Leave your family. Why? Because at a deeper level, we are shaped by our family. You can't go home and tell your father...
or your elder brothers.
Your elder brothers tell you, no, who's the elder here?
Even Jesus had trouble with his brothers.
You can't. So if you're going to lead, you need to leave your family.
They said, is this not Jesus, the son of Joseph, who was born in? So you have to leave.
You have to leave. So now the next one is culture.
Okay.
That's why the Bible says you leave your father and mother and cleave to your partner. What it's saying is that you leave when the Bible says
culture.
Leave the culture. Leave your father and mother's culture, and you and your wife begin your own culture.
New. That's leadership.
When you become an adult, you leave your father and mother and you begin to form your own culture.
Actually, my father could never be a father like me.
No.
There's so many things about me that he couldn't stand.
So sometimes the father who looks at you and smiles like, wow, look at what he's done. In fact, sometimes they'll look at you and wish
they could have done it.
Exactly.
That's true. That's very true.
So your culture, what is culture? Culture is a dead people influencing how you live your life.
Oh, okay.
That's culture. Simply dead people telling you how you should live your life.
Oh, my Lord.
In a new generation.
Yeah.
So that's why even when God, you see throughout the Bible, God always calls an outsider. someone who's not in the culture, because it's more difficult to break out of
A
the
culture.
So a declaration of independence,
Yeah.
that's where you start.
All right.
Because you can never lead the people that you need.
Oh my Lord. I almost see what
I
you're
wish
saying.
I was a Pentecostal right now. I would be speaking in tongues.
You'll be jumping around.
You can never lead the people that you need. If you need them,
They'll
you can't lead them.
control
They'll
you.
control you. Let me give you an example. Mandela did not need the African National Congress. The African
To be
National
the leader.
Congress needed Mandela.
Okay.
So he could lead them.
All right.
Ramaphosa needs the African Congress.
To affirm his position.
So he cannot lead them. Because if he does anything that they don't approve, they will
Is that
recall
the
him.
reason why they've recalled each and every one of them after
If you
Mandela?
need them, they'll call you.
Beg they say Wozala.
Once if you need them, they are puppeteers. They want to tell you how you should do things. And if you don't do it that way, they will recall you. A declaration of independence says, I don't need you. You can recall me if you want. In fact, I don't need your position. Take your position. I don't need
I will become who I'm supposed to be.
Because leadership is nothing with position. Leadership is simply influence. And it
Influence.
starts with a declaration of the day you declare independence.
You are a
and you
leader.
begin to. So leadership begins where you begin to decide how you are going to live life.
Yourself.
You.
Yeah?
Not your mother, not your father, not the church, not you decide. This is how I'm going to live the life.
And standing up to every challenge that comes along that route.
And the system is going to fight you.
Does it mean you have to do like is it the French general who, when he was taking his army to battle and they cross a bridge, you will burn it?
So the burning
So
of
that
bridges.
there's no coming back.
See, now so there's no coming back.
When you
Because
step out.
if you come back, then you are going to disappear. We'll never know about you. Like many people we know who are in leadership positions, but because they need the people they lead, they can. Have you ever looked at someone and said, "But chief, you could make a different decision." You can't, because the people.
Yeah.
He needs the people.
They're driving him.
Jesus didn't need them. Up to the cross by himself. He had to declare independence even from his own disciples.
And even from the church.
Yes. So he can go.
He says, I've left your house desolate.
See? So now, once you declare independence, it forces you now to decide who you become. You live to become yourself. So when you're a child, you're shaped by your parents. You have no choice.
Yeah.
The one who pays the bills shapes you.
Yeah.
But the day you leave, so all you guys out there saying, no, but that's how I was brought up.
You're allowing the
Abdication.
dead.
You are running away from making the difficult decisions.
All
If your father was abusing your mother, you have no business doing it. You can decide it ends here.
It ends with me.
Yeah, ends with me.
I'm breaking
You are
that.
deciding how to live your life.
So in other words, you're saying leadership is the decisions we make at every critical occasion or circumstance we come across.
It has to start with you consciously deciding that I'm going to walk into leadership. Frank Sinatra said, I did it my way.
All right.
And when you have to do things your way, you must be willing to take the consequences of your action.
That's where I want us to...
Because
here is my concept. I call it a B&B concept. B&B is a famous word in the corporate sector, book a bed and breakfast. That's what we call it, B&B. But in the life of any leader, when I started doing these cameras, I was a very strange person. But to me, it was a great blessing. That's the first B. It was a great blessing. People didn't understand. I mean, I would go to some of my fellows and say, hey, we're on YouTube, check our videos. And someone would tell you, no, on Sabbath, my phone is switched off. I don't do social media on Sabbath. You know the story. But then the blessing of doing this for me came with the heavy burden, which is the other B. So I always tell people, when you are prepared to follow Christ, be prepared to sleep in a B&B.
But that's the point. The point.
Blessing and the burden.
But that's so. Remember, I said, I say the burden and privilege of leadership.
Yes.
It's a lonely business being a leader.
And I need someone to understand that it's not all glorious.
No.
It's cold. It's cold.
What people want is the position. Leadership has nothing to do with position.
There you go.
It's got nothing to do
There
with
you
position.
go.
So let's, maybe because of time, someone is trying to maybe understand this leadership.
Yes, call to leadership.
Let's go.
Break it down.
With
Break it down, yeah.
With the ladder of leadership. Let's call it that way. So there's a couple of things that you need. Number one, the first step to leadership is the Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
Very important. Okay, starts with the Declaration of Independence.
We fear this one as Adventists.
No, anybody. It's not just Adventists, it's just people. We like, you see, when you belong.
It's cozy.
If you
it's
make
nice.
a mistake, we made a mistake. It's different when we make a mistake. When you declare independence, mean you are responsible for the mistakes, and you're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
In leadership, if you choose leadership,
Yeah.
you're gonna make mistakes. Let me tell you why. Pastors and priests have a Bible. Judges have the Constitution. Managers have the operations manual. Leaders have nothing.
Oh, wow.
A leader is a pathfinder.
Oh, wow.
You are walking where nobody has walked before. You are going to make mistakes.
That's why it feels painful.
Yeah, you are going to make mistakes.
And you are alone.
But you are driven by something, and this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
So let's start there. So the first step to leadership becomes...
break away and be independent.
Yeah, independent. What does that mean? That means you need to embrace your unique identity.
Okay. All
So
right.
to move from the medical field to holding cameras, Chief, that's why people thought you were weird. Because they want you to fall within the mold of what society has said you should be.
And what you are taught
But the voice of God says, leave your place of birth, leave your society, leave your culture, and go where? To a place I'll show you, which means it's unfamiliar. Now, when he says a place I'll show you, God doesn't give you a GPS coordinates. No.
Yeah.
It's also a call to a relationship with God. You're not getting this. It's a call to a permanent relationship with God. Because the only way you're going to get where you need to get is if you are connected to Him.
To the one who knows.
Telling you.
Yeah.
Because it's the place I'll show you, which means you have to go with Him. If you disconnect, like Abraham,
you'll get lost.
You're going to end up with an Ishmael.
Or you will sit in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, you're getting this. Yes. So now, embrace your unique identity. What is identity? ID, irresistible difference. You are born already equipped with the capacity to be the difference wherever you go.
All right.
Secondly, when you declare independence, it also means that you now harness, develop, and deploy your unique talents.
All right.
In pursuit of what? The third step, a life of purpose.
Okay.
So God in His wisdom creates you, looks at Melusi and says, it is good. Because He's put a unique, irresistible difference in you. He's put a unique set of talents and gifts to you, which are aligned to your purpose. So where now you find it easy to spend money on cameras and it doesn't make sense, and you're fortunate to be married to someone who understands that, because if you are married to someone who doesn't, there's going to be trouble.
That's the end of that marriage.
You'll
be left with your cameras.
Next, you quit a job so you can speak, and then there's no speaking engagements. We are trying, and you're crazy. No, and you can't explain it because there is no map. I can't tell you this is how it's going to happen. My kids know. Daddy will pay school fees when daddy's got money.
And Sarai looks at you and is like, Abraham, it's not happening. He is Hagar.
So guys, let's not make it look like it's glorious. It's not. But it's a life of faith. You're being called to driven. A life of faith. And so you begin to, as you embrace that, and so there's a period of the sharpening of your talents. So all my years in corporate, they're sharpening me. All my years in corporate, they're teaching me the concepts of leadership and all these things. Because if I'm speaking to leaders in corporate, I need to understand where they're coming from. If I had not been in their shoes,
you wouldn't know.
So one of the things they love about me coming to speak is because I understand where they're coming from.
All right.
So Paul could go back and say, I am a Pharisee of Pharisees.
A Jew among Jews of the Benjamite tribe.
He can talk. So there's some guys, sometimes we say, no, I don't need to go through corporates. No, you do. That corporate experience will help you. So there's no waste. No, I wasted my life in corporate. No, you are not. Nothing is wasted. Everything I've gone through has
Yes.
helped me to be where I am. And so you move from purpose. Why is purpose so important? People, everyone knows you're supposed to have purpose.
Yeah.
Why is it important? Because your purpose is what generates your vision for life. No, rephrase. Your purpose generates your conviction about life.
All right.
What do I mean? You will never be a leader, a great leader, until you are a man or a woman of conviction.
All right.
For this reason, I was born.
Right.
You hear that in the Bible? For this reason.
Yes. And for this cause.
Yes. Yes.
There's always a cause.
Jesus was born to die. Purpose, conviction. What's my conviction? Simple. I
Yeah.
believe that every man and woman was born with a unique identity, with a unique set of talents and gifts, and for a unique purpose. It is my mission in life to raise consciousness of this. When I have a world of over 8 billion people who embrace their unique identity, harness their talents and gifts in pursuit of life of purpose, my purpose on earth is done. I can die in peace.
I want us to bring this to a close. I know you are a moving institution. We can never finish this with Max, because God has given you so much grace in this space. But let's zero it down to questions I want to ask you.
Cool.
Give me short answers.
Yeah, the short answers.
I've not warned him on this one. So tell me about your greatest joy in life.
My greatest joy is being a catalyst to someone discovering their reason for existence. When they get that aha moment, like, now I know.
This is me.
People that had given up on life.
Yeah.
Or when I get that letter from a mother who says, I don't know what you said to my husband, but ever since he attended your session, life at home has become better.
Wow.
That's my greatest joy. My greatest joy is helping people discover the reason why they exist.
Fantastic. It's
And
a calling.
it's interesting, né?
Yeah.
Because how do you discover why you were born? By meeting Jesus. Not when God meets people. He starts by telling them who they are.
Yes.
Gideon, oh, hail ye men of valor.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's do that. Short answers. Keep it short.
I know. We can go to town. Every man has a worst nightmare of their lives. What's your nightmare? Your worst nightmare? Either past, present, or future.
Is it a nightmare or is it a fear?
Yes, it's one and the same thing. It could be a fear. Something you fear happening or happened and you're afraid it might happen. Your nightmare.
To die an unlived life.
Buried full.
To die an unlived life. To actually go to my grave and to have
Having not
never
lived.
achieved that which I was created to do. I mean, we've only got 70 years. In that 70 years, you must learn how to be a human being. And once you've learned how to be a human being, you must learn how to relate to others. And when you've done that, then you must fulfill your purpose. I pray to God that He'll kiss me alive long enough to fulfill that mission.
It's not even 70, Max. I think it's about 50 because 20 of them we spend them sleeping.
True.
If we add other activities, we have less than
But the joy of it,
life to
the
live.
joy of it, and I learned from Jesus, is that you can do in 3 years.
Hey!
So if you're listening to this podcast and
Oh
you're
my
70,
Lord.
I wanna
You
admit,
still have a
if you're
chance.
listening to this podcast and
Yeah.
you're 70,
Yeah.
understand that in the next 12 months, you could do the thing you were born to do. Because if you're alive, that means God still has a use and a purpose for you.
Amen.
You don't just live so you can retire and sit there and be useless. No.
You're 70
If
years
you are alive,
Yeah.
if you are 80 years old, you're alive.
everything was preparing you for
Look
that
up and
one
say,
thing.
what is it that you created me to do? Because you might think you've finished it.
When still it's unpacked.
Yeah.
It needs to be unpacked.
It could be like Eli. Yours is just shepherd Samuel into his office.
My Lord.
So don't give up, old man.
Get up.
Don't give up, mama.
Get up.
Just get up. Get up and trust God that as long as you have breath,
God
your
will do it
purpose
again.
is unfulfilled.
Amen.
Because once it's done,
Amen.
a cloud will take you away.
Hallelujah. I'm tempted to shout and hallelujah right there. But let's come back to Max having done his purpose, having lived or maybe frustrated by life. What dish would you want to see in front of you when you really think this is life? What food is the favorite dish that Max wants to eat?
It's unhealthy.
Everyone is
Amakhosa ati
ikusha, the
lamb
sheep.
chops.
Okay.
Bride.
All right.
Lamb
Chops.
chops.
Put it there.
Put it there.
And you're done with me.
Then
and leave me alone.
Yeah, leave me alone. I love my bride lamb chops. Yes.
Fantastic. Now, if you were to write your next book.
Oh, it's already written.
Yeah. So what is the title?
Own Your Life.
Tell us about it.
I'm still going with the same thing. Most of us are not living our lives. We're being lived by our parents, by society, by the church, by the company we work for. Own your life. Because on Judgment Day, you, Melusi, by yourself, without your wife, without your children, without the church, the elder, you
will be
answerable to God. So own
your life.
Your life. You are responsible.
Wow.
For.
I wonder what that will say to someone who's in the corporate sector, someone who's in the leadership position. I look forward to reading it because I can almost sense
that
it's cutting you off from this modern slavery and saying you were born for something higher than just a position and a salary and a pension. I love that. So thank you so much for those. And the last word, I want you to look straight in that camera. No, this is yours.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, look straight into your camera and talk to someone out there just in maybe a minute or so. Tell them what's in your heart. If ever Max is not going to be speaking again, this is it.
My friend, life is seasonal. Summer, autumn, winter, spring. There's nothing we can do about seasons. And so if you're going through your season of pain and you want to give up, I want you to remember this. Every season ends. And so when you've done everything you can and you are left with nothing, don't give up. Look winter in the face and say, I see you, winter. I don't have a jersey. I don't have a blanket. I don't have a heater, but I'm going to outlive you. Purpose in your heart to outlive whatever you are going through. Because every season must end. Poverty must end. The crying must end. The hurt must end. Just make up your mind to outlive. Bible says to everything there is a time and a season. So your time of mourning will end. Your time of disappointments will end. And the sunshine of God and God's love will shine through. So don't ever give up. And if you cannot take it, pick up that phone. Call somebody. If you can't, look me up. I promise you I won't turn you away. But I know one thing. Nothing lasts forever.
You've just summarized my book, so you've earned yourself to be the guest speaker when I launch it.
Amen to that. Amen to
You're the one who pushed me to it. And I wrote it. I'm at almost at 200 pages now. Nice. Success against all odds.
Yeah, man.
And the concept is exactly what you've said. And I totally agree with you that you are just called to outlive your seasons. Move into another. And the seasons repeat themselves over life.
There you are.
So you will always have another chance to get things right.
And don't get too caught up.
No.
Winter will always be there, Chief.
It's coming back.
But summer is coming.
Yes.
And don't get too caught up in the summer.
No.
Autumn is coming.
When you miss the opportunity, yes, it might not come back the same way, but another summer is coming.
That's what's interesting.
Yeah.
So how do we deal with the seasons of life? My last word. Planning.
Plan it ahead. Because you know it's coming.
Planning. Here's the last word. Without a plan, my friend, time and change will ruin you.
Hey, Thank you, Max. Thank you, Max.
Thank you very much.
I wish I could just go on, but this was useful. Thank you so much, my brother.
We can always do another one.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. I think when the book comes out, we'll do another one. Own your life. Yes. Friends, this is all we had for you, and thank you so much for sticking around for this long. Please remember to like, to subscribe, to follow. Leave a comment below. If you want something, if you want to say something, just write a comment below. We'll be very happy to engage with you. Other than that, thank you so much, my friends. God bless you. See you on the next episode. Bye-bye.